Kathy, played by Gillian Taylforth, has had no involvement with EastEnders villain Gray, Toby Alexander Smith, since he arrived on the square almost 3 years ago. It's fair to say, the BBC soap icon has been through her fair share of drama over the years, and with so much experience behind her, viewers might think she would be able to spot a shady character amongst the crowd. This is exactly what could happen in upcoming scenes, as the two characters will share a scene together which would prove to be fatal for the murderer. The drama begins next week as Gray remains unconscious in Monday's episode, having been assaulted by Garrett Bonazar, Kathy Beale, over Chantal Atkins, Jessica Plummer, death. As he lies in a hospital bed in a coma, his wife Chelsea Fox, Zaria Abrahams, is taking full advantage of not being under his control. Believing the villain is a nasty character who needs to be taken down, Whitney Dean, Shona McGarty, is pleased to see the mother of one is finally getting her confidence back. What makes her even happier is when she overhears a conversation Gray's wife has with Karen Taylor, Lorraine Stanley, as to why she hasn't been to see her husband. Knowing she needs to be by her ex-son-in-law's bedside, Karen takes herself off to the hospital and starts to speak to Gray about Whitney and his children. It seems hearing Whitney's name sparks a response for the villain as his eyes begin to flicker as he comes around from his coma. With her spouse awake and wanting answers over what happened to him, Chelsea reluctantly decides to pay him a visit to keep up appearances. The villain is left seething when he realizes his wife is getting her confidence back, and he is even angrier when people don't seem to be making a fuss over what happened to him. However, his attention soon turned to a newspaper headline about a body being found on the square in the same location he put Tina Carter's, Louisa Bradshaw White, corpse. News begins to spread as the remains of the beloved character and her family are left heartbroken over their loss. Heading to Kathy's cafe, he quizzes the owner about why the Carters have decided to close the Queen Vic to the public. Unfortunately, at this time she is unaware of Tina being identified as the deceased, but this doesn't mean she doesn't pick up on Gray's shady behavior. Kathy has had her pick of bad men over the years who have committed all manner of crimes, from gangster Phil Mitchell, Steve McFadden, to her abusive husband, Gavin Sullivan, Paul Nicholas. She knows when someone has a guilty conscience, and noting how Gray is acting, she could realize he has something to do with whoever has died. The villain already knows the walls are closing in on him at this point, but what he might not realize is he has given the game away. Although he has quite a reputation on the square as being Mr. Nice Guy, Kathy could realize this is all an act to cover his true colors. As she thinks back over the years he has been living in Walford, she could begin to piece the jigsaw together, and she believes he could have killed Chantal. Not realizing how correct she is, the cafe owner could report her suspicions to the police, and Gray wouldn't have time to intervene, as she would be the last person he would think would bring him down. Kathy was also a good friend of Tina's, so she will want justice for the beloved Walford resident when she discovers she is dead. Could this be the biggest twist of the storyline which no one saw coming? How well do you know your British soaps? How many times has Ian Beale been married in EastEnders? What is the name of Bianca Jackson and Ricky Butcher's son on EastEnders? On EastEnders in 2002, who accidentally ran Jamie Mitchell over in his car, which caused his death? How many times has Corey's Steve MacDonald been married? What happened to Emily Bishop in Coronation Street? Who murdered Maxine Peacock in Coronation Street in 2003? Which incident in 1993 killed off 4 characters in Emmerdale? When did the show stop being known as Emmerdale Farm? On what day did Hollyoaks air its first episode? What was the name of the much-loved Coronation Street pet dog who was put down in April 2020 after 14 years? 1996 saw the arrival of one of Hollyoaks' all-time bad boys and rival, Kurt Benson, but who is he? Who is the longest-serving character on Coronation Street? Who shot Phil in EastEnders? How many fires have there been at Corey's Rover's return? Get out of my pub, you're no soaps fan. You're either too young to remember the big lines or have better things to do on weekday evenings. Casual viewer, you watch them sometimes so you kinda know what's been going on. Die-hard fan, you love watching the soaps so much your entire week is planned around when they air. One of the other men who Kathy has been caught up with in the past was no more than the villainous James Wilmot Brown, William Boyd. During his original stint on the show, he featured in a harrowing storyline when he raped Kathy and was later convicted of the crime. He made a short return to the soap a few years later before being put back in prison for raping another woman. In 2017, he came back for a second time and he went head-to-head with Kathy over their past in scenes that cemented her as a Walford legend. Speaking of filming the intense episodes at the time, the actress who plays Kathy, Gillian, said, "It was very dark and scary. It was brilliant to do and it was hard because there were some long paragraphs to learn, but it was just William, James, and I the whole way through," she continued in her interview with Metro.co.uk. "There were other storylines going on, but this was great for me and Will was great to film and work with him again. I didn't know James was going to be returning first of all. They kept saying, 'There's a big storyline coming up,' and I really didn't know what it was." So could Kathy's past with the villainous characters of the Square help her to get Gray sent to jail for the rest of his life?